Good evening. Welcome to the July 18th, 2022 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. This time I will call the meeting to order and ask that you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will start with item 3 of the agenda, which is the consent docket. Councilors, questions, comments, or motion on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. It passes with a vote of 5-0. Item 6A is next up. I don't have anyone signed up for public comment on items not on the agenda. So item 6A is to receive public comment regarding a request to allow a medical marijuana dispensary at property addressed at 135 South Main Street, CC-22-134. We have good notice on this item. Thank you. Ms. Porter.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Jacqueline Porter, the City Planner, presenting on behalf of the Community Development staff. The first item being presented is a request for a specific use permit for medical marijuana at 135 South Main Street. Here's an area map of the subject property. Located east on South Main between Maple Avenue and Elm Avenue. Here's an area map of the subject property. House of Dank is located west across South Main. A bakery and a Himalayan grocery store is located to the north, and Jones Addition is to the east. Here is a Google Street View of looking east on South Main. As you can see in this image, there was a medical marijuana dispensary was there previously. The property is currently zoned commercial general with similar zoning surrounding the subject property, except to the east it's zoned RSS. Here's an overview of the future land use map of the 2030 comprehensive plan. This map is used to assist in forecasting uses in the community. The subject property is proposed for commercial use, as well as the properties adjacent along South Main. Low density is proposed to the east of the subject property. The applicant is here if you have any questions for the applicant, and do y'all have any questions for staff at this time?
Councilors? Thank you, Jacqueline. This time I will open the public hearing. We do have a representative from the applicant. Do you have anything to say other than answer questions?
Answer any questions you have.
We appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Do I have anyone else sign up for the public hearing? This time I will close the public hearing. Jacqueline, what was the Planning Commission's recommendation on this item?
Planning Commission recommended approval 5-0.
Thank you. Councilors?
Motion to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation and approve the specific use permit for the property located at 135 South Main Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the item. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the item is approved. Item 6B is receive public comment regarding a request for a map amendment to rezone property addressed as 923 South Lowry Street from light industrial to commercial business, CC-22-133. Did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Ms. Porter?
Yes, as stated, this is a map amendment located at 923 South Lowry from light industrial to commercial business. Here is an area map of the subject property. It's at the corner of South Lowry and East 10th Avenue. The subject property is the location of Keystone Engineering and Land Surveying. The City of Stillwater Recreational Center is located to the east, and Tiny Paws Kitten Rescue is to the north. Here is a Google Street View looking east on South Lowry. The current zoning of the subject property is light industrial. North and east of the property is zone public. South is zone small, single family, and commercial business zoning is located to the west. This slide contains images of the future land use map of the of the 2030 Comprehensive Plan. Future land use maps are used to forecast desired uses in the community at the time of the comprehensive plan was adopted. The subject property is proposed to be industrial use as well as the properties to the south, commercial use to the west, and public to the north and east. The property used to be a location of a transportation barn, meaning the reason for the current zoning and the proposed use. The request to rezone the property to CB would allow the current legal nonconforming structure to become into conformity. CB also is an applicable zoning since CB zoning is located in the immediate area. Aaron is here with Keystone Engineering. If you have any questions for the applicant, and at this time, do you have any questions for staff?
Counselors? Thank you, Jacqueline. This time I will open the public hearing. With a representative from the applicant.
Hello, I'm Aaron Ferguson with Keystone Engineering, located at 923 South Lowry. We are here to rezone our own building, which is very exciting. We first came before you last month to close part of the right-of-way along 10th Street for our building. And our ultimate goal is to expand our building, and last month was the first step in that process. And now we're requesting to rezone the building so we can meet ultimately required setbacks for the building. And as was mentioned, we are zoned light industrial, which is not located anywhere around us. And in researching the property, the best we can come up with is before the property was remodeled in 1995, it was used as an ODOT storage facility, and that's why we believe the property was zoned IL back then. And so since CB zoning is located to the west and to the north of the public zoning, we're requesting that the CB zoning be extended onto our property. Our building is also located directly on the property line on the west, on the south side, which is not allowed in IL zoning, and that's why our property, or our building is non-conforming right now. And even if you include the closed right-of-way from last month, there is still not enough room to meet IL required setbacks right now at this time. We would meet all required setbacks and rules in CB zoning after the rezone. Are there any questions?
Counselors? Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. I don't have anyone else signed up for the public hearing tonight, so I'll go ahead and close this public hearing. Jacqueline, what was the Planning Commission's recommendation?
Planning Commission recommended approval 5-0.
Thank you. Counselors?
Motion to accept Planning Commission's recommendation and approve the map amendment for the property located at 923 South Lowry Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request. Please vote. That request is approved with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Next up, the fun part of the meeting, general orders. Item 7A is our annual report from Prairie Arts from Megan Rosel.
Good evening, everyone. This is Jen Johnson, who will be joining me, who is our educator. We have prepared a little presentation of kind of what we've been up to all year. So let me get to our slide here.
Before you get started, an important question. Are those T-shirts for sale?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Made at the center.
Would y'all mind pulling that mic towards you just a little? Great.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know how to make it go onto the screen.
Play, is there a play
No, this is the PDF.
under file?
Yeah. Sorry about that. One moment. Voila.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brady.
Thank you so much. Okay, so to start off, when 2020 hit, we had just kind of really started our program. If you remember, we came back for our 3-year renewal. We are on year 5 now, so that's exciting. But so really, 2021 and 2022 has really felt like we're really getting back to our programming and what we had originally started off with. So that's really where we feel like, and we want to take you through kind of what it looks like for us for the year.
This is me.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to read everything we've got up here, but I'm going to just highlight a few things. So we've got here 37 youth opportunities. That's kind of my wheelhouse. And just sort of for perspective, we have 17 opportunities this summer for youths, and that equals over 300 hours of instruction. So the number sometimes it's sometimes a whole week of instruction included in one opportunity. We've had a very busy summer. And we're really excited. We're serving 4-year-olds all the way up through 18-year-olds, which is new for us. We started with serving 6-year-olds to 14-year-olds. And then I'm going to also highlight the 12 free community events. That's something when we came back from the pandemic that we committed to offering for the community, one art activity or demonstration every month, and we've been able to accomplish that. And then we do have 102 adult classes and workshops offered over the course of the year, and 28 art partners. And I think we highlighted art partners last year when we were here, but that's, one-on-one instruction with local artists. We advance just continuing on, so we've served 84 artists through our pop-up art shops. We do that quarterly. I don't know has everybody been to one?
Yes.
Great. We feel like we're also serving the community with these events, as well as the artists. 26 community outreach projects this year. We have a large and ever-growing group of partners for these kinds of things that take us. Sometimes they're at the center, and sometimes they're out in the community. $6,409 was earned in the art shop, which is a big deal for us. Gently used art supplies, if you don't know about that. And we hosted the Stillwater Farmers Market 38 times over the course of the year.
And a lot of those activities were all things that happened during our regular business hours, but we also have a lot of things happening outside of our business hours. We have anywhere from 3 to 6 artists, local artists, using the Prairie as their own studio space. And sometimes if our classes, for example, our pottery classes are popular and in demand, and so even on Mondays when we're closed, we have classes going on as well. So the space is being used pretty much 7 days a week. We wanted to highlight just a couple of those local artists. Mary Claire Becker, who is an OSU professor, is printed this wallpaper, this removable wallpaper that she's going to be showcasing nationally at different galleries across the country. And yeah, it's just really impressive. This is hand screen printed, and it was all printed at the Prairie Arts Center. Wow. And then Courtney Kelly is another local person that you might be familiar with. This piece up in the top here that I'm pointing to was a piece that she donated to the OSU Museum fundraiser event, but it's all hand-drawn and Indian inks used to dye it, and so it's just incredible. And so she sells her work locally here in the community as well, but uses our jewelry studio as her main space. Another project that happened outside of the Prairie Arts Center is that we have been working on murals. It's been a hot topic lately. And so we started with Roxie Weber mural project, which was a gentleman came from Roxie Weber and asked us if we would put art on their concrete walls where they like to go outside and sit and chat. So we reached out to an artist who unfortunately kind of fell apart for that particular person, but we were able to partner with the OSU Theater Department's Professor Lee Brazel, who worked to create this project, and then also worked to bring in another artist, Brent Greenwood, for the second phase of it. So within the year, we've been able to produce 2 of these murals at the ROXIE Weber, so you can go take a look at those. And he has one more phase that he hopes to do to tie the two together as well. Okay.
Another very exciting thing that's happened in the last year is we have created a 2 fully functioning studios in what we call affectionately the way back. It's a very long building, and there was a section of the building that wasn't being used for a while, and so now there's metalsmithing back there, wood turning, stained glass making, and fused glass. That was the one I was looking for, yeah. And all of those studios are really thriving right now, so we're pretty excited about that the whole space is being utilized. Oh, and this was really fun. We screen printed 600 homecoming game day flags and handed them out, but the really exciting piece was that we partnered with Chris Ramsey from OSU and his 3D design class. They made these amazing self-portraits, and they walked in the parade with us, and it was really fun. And of course, our Flood the Streets. Oh, I love that lucky number. 111 pieces of art. If you're not familiar, we ask for donations from artists, and it's basically just a free treasure giveaway where we place art around the community for people to find as a surprise.
And then some other additional fun facts. We used 4,920 pounds of clay in our pottery studio. We had roughly 10,354 people visit the Prairie Arts Center. And then also just to note that there are 3 full-time on-site staff members and 31 instructors that make the Prairie Arts Center the vibrant and creative space that it is. And we should also say that that also comes with a lot of help from the Barb and Patty and a lot of people from the city who help us out, who we call on a monthly basis, so as well. Any questions? That's kind of our presentation. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Counselors, any questions?
Just great job of giving people in the community opportunities to participate with art, to see art, to purchase art. Just great job on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have you seen a big influx since the pandemic of people really wanting to maybe channel this creative spirit that maybe they didn't have before? Because it's, I mean, just based on all of the things that are going on, it just seems like people are maybe taking a different look now at being creative and realizing that it's for mental health reasons.
Mental
and
health,
for,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a funny saying going around right now that pottery is the new yoga. So our pottery classes have increased quite a bit, and those art partners that we talked about has been a huge way for us to reach out to those people if they want to take a knitting class but don't necessarily want to sit in a class, you know, and with others they get a one-on-one instruction as well. So we've seen a lot of that increased, yes.
And I would say we have also seen an increase of partnership, people wanting to partner in that way too, just more interested in bringing that kind of experience into their organization.
Good.
Yes.
I'm just really grateful for the value that you bring our community. I think communities that place an emphasis and importance on art, it just makes the place in our community so much better, and I'm so grateful for the work and the part that you play in that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Is there anything that we as a council could be doing to help further the partnership, or anything that you see the city needs to?
Do you guys want to come in and have a group activity? Art making activity?
We'd have to post it as a meeting, so we don't break meeting laws. But I would just add, when we started this partnership, it was kind of new, and there was some concern about the facility maybe not being available as much, or the community not having as much access to it because OSU was going to be involved. And I think we can safely say that those concerns have been adequately dealt with, and there's a ton of stuff going on, and all of the feedback I get from folks in the community about the Prairie Arts Center now is positive, and that's a testament to you all on the team who are interacting with and making sure that the facility is being used to its full potential. So we really appreciate the partnership and appreciate the work that you're doing.
We're having a great time, and we look forward to the next 5 years too. So.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Should we turn this off? Are we responsible for our...
Our own. I think it's off, yes.
All right, next up is item 7B on the agenda, Lake McMurtry Friends Annual Report from Jill Van Egmond, and we're continuing the fun part of the meeting.
Fun part of the meeting, for sure. Mayor, Council, thank you so much for allowing us to come and share some of our highlights and achievements over the last year. 2022 is pretty cool because it's our 10-year anniversary of operating and maintaining Lake McMurtry, and it's the 25th anniversary of our trail system being completed, so we've got a lot of good stuff going on out there. The mission of Lake McMurtry Friends is to enrich quality of life by providing opportunities to engage in sustainable outdoor recreation, environmental education, and nature conservation, and I think we are meeting that mission full on. In the 2021-22 fiscal year, we had approximately 44,000 visits from 40 different states and 142 Oklahoma communities. The most common states represented were Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Colorado, and Arkansas, and the most common Oklahoma communities represented were Stillwater, Edmond, Oklahoma City, Guthrie, Enid, and Perry. You know, we saw a real spike in day pass sales during the pandemic, and we wondered if that trend was going to slow down, and it hasn't. This year we've sold this past year we sold 10,580 day passes, and for $6 a vehicle, you can access all of the daily amenities, and they're good from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and you can purchase those online or in the stores. Annual passes, those sales keep going up as well. This year we sold 695 annual memberships. So for $75 for a full year, you can gain access to the day amenities plus tent camping, and you can purchase those also online or at the park. Our revenue generation continues to increase year over year, so we're pretty proud of that. So this past year, we raised in sales fees and donations $277,445 on top of the subsidy that we received from the city. As you all know, we've been struggling trying to get our recreational trails program grant and our ADA trail underway. When we sent the bids out, they all came back over budget, so we reapplied for additional funding, and we were awarded that, $29,880. And so I can say construction has begun on our ADA compliant trail, and we estimate it to be complete by November of '22. And in our efforts to make sure that outdoor adventure is accessible to everyone with every ability, we partnered with the Department of Landscape Architecture at Oklahoma State and one of their students and designed a universal access tent campsite. And I'm happy to say that we were awarded a grant from the Donna Nye Foundation last week, so we'll begin construction on this once our season is over. So all of our amenities, we have an ADA compliant RV site, we'll have an ADA compliant trail, we'll have a universal access tent campsite, and we have a grant submitted right now to install a universal access kayak launch so that we're really meeting the needs of everybody in our community. Last year, Hiking Oklahoma featured our red and blue trails as two of the most rewarding and invigorating trails in the state. It's an American Hiking Society publication. We were super honored to be one of the trails that were identified, and these can be purchased online on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble. This was the first full year that we've had a camp host on both the east and the west side. This really enhances our park user experience because we have somebody available 24 hours a day to answer any questions or, tame any disturbances, or just available, having someone in the park 24 hours a day really makes a difference. So this past year, we built 2 new campsites. We had an Eagle Scout do a project. We were so thrilled to be the beneficiary of a new tent campsite on the east side. And then Blackjack Bay is one of our old primitives that was closed for years because it was damaged due to a tornado and some different things and was very overgrown. We cleared all that out and got that open back up, and so now we have an additional primitive campsite. Events at Lake McMurtry continue. We have our annual 4th of July Catch-a-Palooza. Always a super fun event. We have a lot of families come out. It's not overly competitive, but it's a lot of fun. Our Lights on the Lake event this past year was fantastic. We actually opened it up for 3 different weekends. We expanded it and added to it, and we had over 500 cars come through into our light display. This year it will be even bigger. So every year we're adding. This year we were able to have Chili Bike again. We didn't have it for a couple of years, and we weren't sure that we were going to be able to have it this year because we had a snowstorm the week leading up to it. But thankfully the roads started to thaw out and the temperature started to raise, and we had a great turnout. And if you've never attended Chili Bike, I would highly recommend it. It is the coolest event, the vibe, the energy, the people. It is a blast. And it's not a race. It's just eat a lot of chili and ride trails, and it's pretty cool. Along with our regular programming, our partnerships with OSU groups, leading events and activities for them, leading volunteer groups, we've added some new events. So we've started taking the lake to Life Adult Day Healthcare Center once a month. So for people that are not able to get out to the lake, we bring the lake to them. So we've done virtual kayaking. We took our pet turtle, Bernie, out there. Connor King, our outdoor recreation education director, does a great job. And as you see, we were fishing with them in this slide up here. They have a great time, and it's something that, we really want to bring the lake to the community, especially communities that can't come to the lake. Our overnight backpacking clinics continue to be really successful. Usually we have between 5 to 9 in our groups. We start at one trailhead, hike throughout the day, camp overnight, they learn survival skills, and then hike in the next day. And I think a true success story is one of our first groups, a group of women that had never been backpacking and wanted to learn. They came out and had so much fun that now they've started a group, and they're traveling around the country hiking different parks and trails. So that was pretty cool. We also partnered with the Stillwater Public Library in their Big Read program. We had events out at the lake, backpacking, survival, stories around the campfire, and then for their, some outdoor adventure with the kids. And it was really a great partnership, and we hope to continue. This year we had Spring Break Adventure Camp for the first time. We had kids on the west side. We only had 10 because we had a small space, and you never know what the weather's going to do, so we had to accommodate. But it was truly successful, and we just finished up 6 weeks of adventure camp, children ages 7 to 12. We had full-day camp, and every week was almost completely full. We had a lot of campers that came back for many of the weeks, and I think you can just tell by the smiles on their faces how much fun they had. They got to learn archery, hike, kayak, fish, and then STEM learning through outdoor education. And so we had a great group, and we had great counselors. I mean, I could not say more about our counselors. But I'll just finish on that with these happy faces. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jill. Counselors?
Where do you recruit the counselors for the camp?
We actually just listed it on Indeed and then just interviewed, and we do background checks on all of our counselors. That's required for everybody that works in our adventure camp, and happened to find just this outstanding group of, most of them were students at OSU, but they were phenomenal. I could not say enough good things about them.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any questions, but as I sit here and listen, it's a gentle reminder as we can all get clogged up with all the negative things that happen in our communities. And last week and this week, I see Carolyn back there, Megan, Jill, Amelia, if you're listening, we have some really amazing things happening in our community if we just take the time to pay attention to those things. So thank you for all your hard work and effort. Your first report to now, things happening at Lake McMurtry are wonderful. Same with Prairie Arts and same with SASA. So just thank you. It's just a good, gentle reminder.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hate to reduce outdoor fun to charts and graphs, but your charts and graphs are great.
Thank you.
It's fantastic just to see the growth and the fact that you guys have been able to, I think, communicate well with the community and build such a strong reputation in the community that going out to the lake for the day or getting an annual pass, that sort of thing, is worth it, and it's a value, and it's something that people see as worthy of their time and money, and that's I think a testament again to the amount of work you and your team have put in to building the lake's reputation and putting things out there that people want to go out and do, and so it is really exciting, and as Vice Mayor said, our public-private partnerships seem to be thriving right now as a community, and again, I think that's because of the people who we've got in those positions and working on those projects, and it's great to see. So thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
All right. Item 7C, discussion regarding relocation of softball fields at Sanborn Lake Park. Mr. Monty Carnes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Second, we'll get this pulled up. Maybe we ought to start at the beginning. We're here to talk about the Hargis Road reconstruction, also known as our airport arterial access, industrial access, very many names through the years. You will recall that this project began several years ago as part of a project to improve the corridor along Western through the airport to airport and then east to Washington. So the first phases of that from Hall of Fame to Lakeview have been completed. We've had some challenges getting environmental clearance on this next phase to take it to Washington. This phase 3 is officially known as actually 2 phases. The first phase is currently under design, will stop about here. The issue is in the second phase, we'll end up taking out this ball field, and since that was done with federal monies, we've got to follow some regulations for replacing those. The design of that first phase is about 60% complete. We have begun the relocation of the utilities. Previously, you've approved the project agreement with ODOT. I believe that's scheduled for fiscal year 24 at the current time. It's important to note that all that land was purchased in 1943 for airport use. Specifically says that in the deeds. The federal funds did not construct those ball fields. They just did some improvements in the parking lot, and I think some concession stands as well. We don't have real good records going back to then, but that's the best we can tell, and some memory for some other folks. Also, as part of the airport master plan, again, this is the corridor right through here. The other 2 ball fields will need to be removed so that there can be some land side development as part of the airport expansion. That's part of that master plan, which would require the relocation of the other 2 ball fields, so we just thought we might as well just do it all now. Again, if we convert the land to other use, then we have to put a facility in that has the same or equal, greater or existing value than what's there now. We had that the land assessed, the existing land is valued at $386,400. It's about 11 acres. We've got 13.6 acres of land at the southwest corner of Lakeview and Western that could be used for the ball fields, and its value is $392,000, so we have a greater value there. We believe this meets the federal requirements. Now, we're very much aware there's a desire to build maybe a 6 ball field complex, and it would certainly make sense that this would be part of that. This would not preclude us from doing that at some point in the future. If we decide that we do want to proceed with the 6 ball field and we complex and we want it to be somewhere else, we could do that somewhere else. We would just have to go through the same procedure and show that we're moving the ball fields to that location and not this location. But approving this tonight lets us move forward with the project that it's kind of on hold until we get this part done. It's also important to note that it does not necessarily have to be replaced as baseball. If we wanted to do a soccer use or something similar, we could do soccer. It's just more of the value than that. And an example of that is when Rural Rogers Schools was relocated, there was a park with playground equipment where the new Rural Rogers School is. It was used these funds. Well, then as part of that project, there's a soccer field on the south side that qualified for that conversion. I think you're about to have a question.
You could tell I was going to ask a question. These federal funds, when were they?
Late 70s.
And is there a time limit on?
No.
It's
No.
in perpetuity if we use these
Correct.
federal funds that we have to?
That's correct.
Wow, that's quite a requirement. I'm not sure that's legal, honestly, but I'll leave that up to the counselor's office.
That's what we understand. That's what our consultant advises us as well. I point out that all of this is part of a 508-page document our consultant has put together, and we're ready to submit.
To whom? A 500? Are we going to read a 508-page document? Is that?
I'm happy to send it to you if you'd like it.
Well, I guess that's my question, is just the mechanism here about how this works with the federal funding. I mean, if we need to do this, I think you said in there somewhere that we've got a couple of years. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be done right away. As soon as that.
It does not have to be done right away. Obviously, we have to relocate them before we start construction. We think that next phase is at least 3 years off. So we have time to have these other discussions. It's just, as part of the Federal Highway Administration's rules, they want the entire corridor cleared and ready. So this is one of the requirements for that next phase that we have to take care of now.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, who's enforcing this? I mean, is this part of the construction of the road that the federal funds
Yes.
or whatever we're getting
Yes.
for the road?
The federal
they will pay
funds,
us?
as part of the federal fund process or approval from the federal government for the funds, FHWA, you have to do an environmental clearance, other things as well. And that's one of the things they specifically look at is parklands and recreational facilities. And so that's one of the boxes that have to be checked off on. Obviously, when we were looking at the different corridors, you may remember when we came with that study several years ago, there were actually 4 routes. One of the routes took more of the ball fields. One of the routes got closer to the lake, into the wetlands. This was one that kind of tried to minimize the damage on both sides.
Monty, if I might.
Yes.
So when you have federal funds working on a project, right, you have to go through these environmental clearances. And when we say environmental clearance, I think people think of kind of environmental in quotes, right? But it also includes social impacts. So something like land use, like these parks. So, and you have to show within that environmental documentation that you're not making significant impacts and that you don't have another viable alternative if you are making that kind of impact. And there, with regards to the parks, I don't know if these were purchased with the land conservation.
Yes.
There was certain funding way back when that was federal funding that helped purchase parkland, and that is specifically and expressly attached within FHWA's rules. If you're impacting parkland that was purchased with those funds, that you have to have this kind of direct replacement of those facilities in perpetuity. So I guess my question though, Monty, is so we're approving, or we would be approving the abandonment, I guess, or the taking of this park space, but is it?
I think they use the word conversion.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a more appropriate word. Does it close those ball fields? What's the impact? Kind of the construction may not start, but do those ball fields? What's the impact to the community in terms of how soon would we lose those fields from a?
Well, there's no immediate impact. The first phase of the road construction will not impact those at all. So it would be when we start the second phase several years from now, then we would have to have, we would want to relocate those ball fields before we started construction.
So if we're several years out before this is actually going to impact the fields, do we just have to be able to show them this is where we're going to move it so that we can get to the next part of this discussion?
Yes, we have to show them that we're making a good faith effort, that we have a plan for moving forward when that occurs.
Can that plan change?
And that plan can change.
Okay.
Well, and that's where I was going with my question, because reading between the lines in here, this feels like a placeholder location. And I hope that's the case, because I'm not excited about the idea of putting ball fields that close to the end of a runway where if a plane was coming short could land on a bunch of kids, right? That's a horrible location for a ball field. So I'm hopeful this is a placeholder.
So, and that's certainly a decision we can make later as well. The runway has what they call the runway protection zone. A portion of that is in, that land is in that RPZ, and the ball fields themselves would be located outside of that RPZ. But there could be other uses like parking or even just grass. But you make a good point.
Mayor, if I may, as a point of clarification, this item is only on the agenda for discussion this evening, and there will not be any action taken.
Thank you very much.
And if I
Yes,
may, even before Carolyn's presentation last week, staff was looking at, in fact, I've taken Brady on some field trips, and we've walked through a lot of areas, and currently owned city property that would maybe kind of sort of work for a larger complex. And indeed, this is somewhat of a placeholder until we can find for sure that location.
Yeah.
Monty, would the conversion documentation require us to demonstrate that we would, so we don't have to demonstrate because these fields weren't built with those dollars, we don't have to demonstrate that we're building fields, we just have to demonstrate that we have park land, open space available?
Well, there's two different boxes we're checking. One is parkland, one is recreational use. So this is the recreational use. The parkland we think we've got taken care of because there was never really any official parkland designated. So as one of the actions we've done, we've kind of carved out what we think is parkland around the lake. So, you know, that took care of that. It's the recreational use that we're worried about or not worried about, but has to be handled. And again, they didn't build the ball fields; they just did some improvements with some of the money. So,
I guess my question.
And again, it's not. I understand it. We don't necessarily have to rebuild ball field for ball field. We just have to have a like value in some type of recreational. So that could be soccer. It could be even maybe something more unique.
I guess I was just wondering, because if you're looking at the appraised value of the property, I'm assuming that's unimproved.
That's correct.
So do we have is there other financial considerations that we have to demonstrate that we could make the improvements to convert it?
I have not been told that we have to show that we have the financial capability to do that. I think where the FHWA would have a hammer, whatever it would be, they won't release the funds and approve the next phase until we show the financial commitment to relocate the ball game or the ball fields, or something definite.
Okay. So there's a lot of factors that we would consider before we actually build these new ball fields. I mean, I think it's Location is not great, and we really don't want to spend $3 million on 3 fields out by themselves. We'd rather put that into a larger complex with other stuff. And I assume that would also, once we get to that point, that would meet the same, I mean, we would be able to show that that meets the requirements we need to meet, right?
That's our understanding.
Okay.
That's correct.
So as long as we're talking about moving forward with, yes, we're going to move these, yes, we're going to show that we have the space. If it has to be, you know, if that's the space we can show now because we know we've got it, great.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out exactly what that's going to look like in the future.
Yeah, that's our intent. That's why we're looking at it. And that's kind of our recommended action is we're just looking for guidance. If you like this solution, then next meeting we'll bring a resolution to you to that effect.
Monty, it seems to me like the timing becomes really important, right? If we're preparing plans and then preparing for construction, we certainly wouldn't want to stop construction. That gets really expensive. So we need to make sure that kind of the solutions to all of these things kind of sync up, right? If FHWA won't release
Yes.
funding unless we have this recreational use in place, making sure we can get a recreational use in place and not have to build out a transitional recreational space or stop construction on something that we've been planning. Seems like that maybe should motivate us in some other conversations, huh?
Sure. I mean, to me, what we're talking about is saying, okay, let's go ahead and use this because it gives us the ability to go ahead and move forward with the project. But we need to, in parallel, be working on where are we really going to build new ball fields, and how are we going to fund them, and then this money that would be spent on this one can roll into that and actually build us what we want, and then as long as that, if we in fact change the location and we'd have to show, okay, yeah, that's
correct,
meeting those same criteria, then yes, we should move forward to make sure that we can meet our obligations on the transportation funding, and we can get our transportation funding, and we're not slowing down that project. But we do need to be working in parallel to make sure that we're getting what we actually need as a community.
One other point I want to make is we've talked about the federal requirements. It's the Oklahoma Department of Tourism is actually the ones that do this clearance on behalf. They administer those funds. So we're working with the Oklahoma Department of Tourism.
Okay.
Have we paid for is it a 6F conversion? Is that what we're?
I'm sorry?
In our environmental documentation, have we paid our consultant for, is it a 6F?
Yes.
Conversion?
Both the 4F and the 6F.
Have they completed that documentation?
Yeah, that's the 508-page document that we're waiting on this action to submit to the Oklahoma Department of Tourism.
Okay.
And the other environmental clearances, the Department of Transportation paid those fees. But we did hire same consultant to do this portion for us.
And we won't have a revision or a redo if for some reason the land that we're talking about here changes?
Not that I know of. Yeah.
So we're not taking any action on this item, but it sounds like we're saying that staff's on heading the right direction. And
we will bring you a resolution at the next appropriate meeting, and you'll see it then.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monty. It's amazing what we get into when we talk about road construction and turns into ball fields. And it's all connected.
It is.
All right, item 8A is ordinances on first read. Ordinance 3497, ordinance rezoning tracts of land located at 701 West Boomer Lake Station Road from Public P and Commercial General GCG to Multifamily Intermediate District RMI. Is there a motion on the ordinance?
Move to advance ordinance 3497 to second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance. Please vote. The ordinance is advanced to second read with a vote of 5-0. On second read, we have ordinance 3496, an ordinance closing an easement located in the northeast quarter of Section 35, Township 20 North, Range 2 East of the Indian Meridian, City of Stillwater, Payne County, Oklahoma, on property located on North Rogers Drive, south of Richmond, adjacent to North Rogers Drive in Parkview Estates, Section 10, and repealing all ordinances to the contrary.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 3496.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 3496. Please vote. The ordinance is adopted with a vote of 5-0. Takes us to reports from officers and boards. Anything from the city attorney?
Nothing.
Mr. McNichol.
Yes, sir. We would request that community members conserve resources as much as possible during this significant heat wave. We don't want to cause an alarm. There's not a problem right now, but we request our customers take steps to help conserve as a precaution. We're dealing with multiple days of 100 degrees or greater and very dry weather. These conditions could prove problematic in the city's infrastructure. Yesterday, the water treatment plant hit a record output of 16 million gallons versus the typical summertime peak of 12 to 13 million. We've had a lot of different weather in the last couple of years. A lot of freezing, a lot of heat caused the ground to move. Water and Public Works departments are addressing distribution leaks and necessary street repairs with crews rotating right now on job sites to cool down and rehydrate. Work schedules have been adjusted to 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. with on-call crews available for emergencies. Southwest Power Pool, which is the regional transmission operator for wholesale power for Grand River Dam Authority and 14 states, issued a conservative operations advisory. The advisory does not require the public to conserve, but asks that steps are made as a precaution during the hours of 2 and 7 p.m. The hot weather has also caused it to be very dry outside. We've seen a significant uptick in grass fires, and we certainly would ask people to practice fire safety. And finally, I want to tell you how much I appreciate our staff who are working outside in these elements. They're doing their best to ensure that services are provided. It's not very pleasant out there right now, and we would also encourage people to be careful if they're doing yard work or other activities outside. This is deadly weather. I read today that in Europe, where they're having a similar situation, they've lost over 1,000 people. So to heat-related incidents. So be careful out there. Help us save water and electricity, please.
Yeah, I think the best way for us to say thanks to the city workers who are out keeping all of this stuff going is to all turn our thermostats up a couple of degrees, make it, be okay if it's a little bit warmer in our homes and offices, and turn those yard sprinklers off. They don't need to be running every day. Your grass is probably not going to survive 2 weeks of 110 degree heat anyway. So, yeah, please help us conserve energy and water if you can during this time. Vice Mayor.
Yes, crazy days. Kicks off this week, and I'm talking about shopping. Beginning Wednesday the 20th and goes through the 24th. This is Stillwater's largest community-wide retail sales event. From Lakeview Point and Pioneer Square shopping centers to the Strip in downtown Stillwater, there are many shops offering summertime sales for all ages. Some stores feature sidewalk sales, while some will have sales racks located inside, and some will have both. It's a great tradition.
Take a water bottle with you while you're
That's right. That's right.
Councilor Hawkins.
We are always looking for great team members who are service-minded. If you are interested in working for the City of Stillwater, please visit our website to see the list of full and part-time positions that are available. stillwater.org/employment.
Thank you so much. Councilor Jaloski.
In addition to Stillwater Public Library's summer reading program for all ages, they are offering an outdoor movie for older teens and adults on July 22nd. The movie takes place in the library's courtyard beginning at 9 p.m. Attendees should bring chairs or blankets for seating. Free popcorn and drinks will be provided. This is just one of the many fun events the library is hosting this summer. For the complete list of library events and descriptions, visit library.stillwater.org.
Thank you so much. Councilor Clark.
This Friday at 10 a.m., we will honor the 27.5 years of service by Lieutenant Joe Sadler with the Stillwater Fire Department. The celebration will be at Fire Station Number 1, 1506 South Main Street. Members of the community are invited to honor Lieutenant Sadler with us, either in person or on the Stillwater Fire Department Facebook page, where the event will be streamed live. Congratulations to Lieutenant Sadler, and thank you for your service.
Absolutely, that's great. I will let you know in less exciting news, beginning on Wednesday, July 20th, Lakeview will be closed for approximately 2 weeks. This will only affect the east side of the roadway, and motorists will still be able to get through on Perkins. Please be patient and allow additional travel time. ODOT is working as quickly as possible to have Phase 1 of the Perkins Road construction project completed by the fall. Their goal is to halt construction for OSU game day traffic and begin Phase 2 of the project after the conclusion of OSU football season. Updates to street projects and more information is available on our website at stillwater.org. All right, that takes us to the end of the City Council agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn Stillwater City Council. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the City Council is now adjourned. This time, we will move to the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for July 18th, 2022. I'll call the meeting to order. Is there a motion on the consent docket?
Motion to approve this consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Consent docket's approved 5-0. We'll jump down to 5A. Consider increase the fiscal year 2022 expenditure limit for purchase power from GRDA. Mr. Smith.
Good evening, trustees. Lauren Smith, Electric Utility Director. Staff received the final GRDA bill for FY22 and require an expenditure limit increase of $415,000 for purchase power. In response to the increased cost of wholesale electric purchases, our PCA is responding as designed to recover the cost increase in wholesale energy. A budget revision has been completed to increase the electric purchase power expenditure account by $415,000 using funds not needed for natural gas for the Stillwater Energy Center. In FY22, that was done administratively, so that's been completed. At this time, staff is only seeking a purchase power expenditure limit increase of $415,000. I have a motion here, but I will pause to answer any questions that you may have.
Trustees, any questions? What's your recommendation for us?
Motion to increase the FY22 expenditure limit for purchase power from GRDA by $415,000 with a not-to-exceed amount of $34,454,176.
Thank you, Lauren. Trustees?
Move to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Items approved with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Lauren. Don't see anything further on the SUA agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, SUA is adjourned. This time, I will call to order the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for July 18th, 2022. Is there a motion on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Consent docket's approved 5-0, and that is all we have on the SEDA agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
With a motion and a second, please vote. With a vote of 5-0, SEDA is adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for the evening. Thank you.